"You're too safe. I want chaos and passion," she said while packing for a trip with her ex, so I changed the locks. Now she's broke, alone, and stalking my new girlfriend. Hey, viewers. Before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. We'd been living together for almost a year and a half when I started noticing the way she looked at me had changed. Not in some dramatic, soap opera way. There wasn't hatred or even disgust in Olivia's eyes. That might have been easier. It was worse than that indifference, maybe. Or quiet disappointment she didn't know how to express. I'd catch her staring at her phone, scrolling through reels of couples dancing in Bali, filming emotional surprise proposals, or riding ATVs through mud in some jungle. The algorithm had figured her out before I did. She'd sigh. Not loudly, but just enough for me to hear it. Just enough to make me feel like my quiet, responsible life was failing her. And I'm not even some boring accountant or anything like that. I work in IT, fully remote, decent pay, built a small condo for myself before I turned 30. I don't party. I don't gamble. I don't chase dopamine. I show up on time. I keep my word. I was the guy you build a life with, not the one you build a playlist about. Apparently, that wasn't enough. It started slowly. A few comments from her friends. "Does William ever do anything fun? Wait, you've never traveled together? You know Olivia, you used to be such a wild one." I'd brush them off, smiling politely. Olivia would laugh it off too, kind of. But I could tell it got to her. She started dressing differently, more provocative than usual. Started texting more when we were watching movies. Started bringing up her ex, Henry. Even saying his name makes my stomach turn, not from jealousy, but from hindsight. He was everything I wasn't: impulsive, jobless, dramatic. A walking crisis. He had cheated on her more than once. Left her crying in parking lots, drunk at parties, ghosted her for days. And yet, the way she talked about him, like he was the devil that made her feel alive. "He's chaotic, but God, he had this fire," she said once, while sipping wine on our balcony. I didn't respond. I just nodded and pretended like it didn't bother me that the woman I paid rent for, cooked for, and emotionally supported through her anxiety was still romanticizing the man who wrecked her. And then came that week. She started acting strange, locking her phone, turning it upside down when she left the room, keeping her screen brightness too low to read. One night, I walked into the kitchen and she quickly ended a FaceTime call. I caught a glimpse of his name. Henry. I didn't confront her right away. I wanted to believe she wouldn't do that. Not to me. Not after everything we'd built. Not after the way I took her in when she was broke and between jobs. I wanted to believe she was better than that. She wasn't. It was a Wednesday afternoon when everything changed. She came home earlier than usual, tossed her purse on the couch, and walked into our bedroom with her usual air of self-importance. I followed a few minutes later to ask if she wanted to order dinner or go out. That's when I saw the suitcase on the bed. I stood in the doorway, stunned. "Going somewhere?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She didn't even look guilty. "Yeah," she said casually, folding a dress into her bag. "Henry invited me on a trip. Just a week. He's going to Mexico and said I should come." I blinked. "You're kidding." She finally looked up at me. "No, I'm not." "You're going on vacation with your ex?" She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. "He got a bonus or something, and I need to clear my head. I've been feeling stuck." I took a breath. "You live with me, Olivia." "Exactly," she snapped. "You don't get it. Everything's so controlled with you. Same schedule. Same food. Same everything. You're safe, William. Too safe." I stared at her, not understanding how I'd become the villain in her story. "You want to cheat on me because I'm not chaotic enough?" I asked, voice low. She didn't deny it. Didn't apologize. Instead, she laughed bitterly and said something I'll never forget. "I want passion. I want fire. I want to feel something. Henry might be a mess, but at least he makes me feel alive. You're just comfortable." I nodded. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't throw anything. I didn't ask her to stay. I just said, "All right." She looked confused. "That's it." I nodded again. "Yeah, that's it." That night, I slept on the couch. I heard her suitcase wheels roll out the front door the next morning. I didn't cry. I didn't text her. I didn't chase her through the airport. I changed the locks before she landed in Mexico. For the first time in almost 2 years, my apartment was quiet. Not "she's out shopping" quiet, but empty. Hollow. The kind of silence that settles when someone leaves and you know they're not coming back. Her side of the bed was perfectly made. The toothbrush holder only had mine in it. The fridge still had a bottle of almond milk she left behind, half full, expired, like the last few months of our relationship. I took it all in and let myself feel everything. I wasn't proud of what came next. For the first few days, I kept waiting for a text. Not because I wanted her back, but because I needed her to realize what she'd done. I wanted her to acknowledge how reckless and heartless she'd been. But there was nothing. No apology. No regret. No, I miss you. Just silence. So I embraced it. I canceled her access to the internet. Changed all my passwords. Took her off the utilities. Tossed the last of her things into a cardboard box and left it with the doorman in case she came asking. I vacuumed. I lit a candle. I sat on the couch and realized I could finally watch a show without her complaining about my boring taste. It stung, of course it did. But it was also calm. A calm she claimed to hate. A calm I realized I needed to protect. And then, 5 days after she left, the first message came in. Olivia text, "Hey, so I guess you changed the locks? That feels a little extreme. Can we talk?" I stared at the message for a long time before deleting it. No reply. The next day, a missed call. 2 more texts. Olivia, William, be serious. I still have clothes there. We need to talk. Don't be immature about this. Immature. I had just been left for Henry because I wasn't reckless and passionate enough to keep her entertained. But sure, I was the immature one. Still, I didn't respond. By the end of the week, her tone shifted. Olivia, voicemail, okay. I don't know what your problem is, but you can't just ghost me. You're not some petty little boy. Be a man and answer the phone. I saved that voicemail. Not to use it, not to show it to anyone, just as a reminder of who she really was when things didn't go her way. Another week passed. I heard from mutual friends that her trip was cut short. Apparently, Henry had gotten drunk on their 3rd night there, accused her of being emotionally controlling, and left her in the hotel lobby after a shouting match. She had to call her mom to buy her a return ticket. I didn't laugh. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt done. I had spent nearly 2 years trying to be everything Olivia said she wanted. Stable, supportive, dependable. I helped her pay off one of her credit cards when she lost her job. I let her take over the 2nd bedroom as her creative office, even though all she ever did in there was scroll Pinterest and half-write blog posts. And she threw it all away for a walking red flag. The next message came a few days after she got back. Olivia, I know things got messed up, but we had a good thing. You can't just pretend I don't exist. Then another. Olivia, Henry's not who I thought he was. I made a mistake. But you made me feel safe, William. That should count for something. I didn't reply. Instead, I took the box from the doorman and mailed it to her mom's house. 3 days later, I got a long text, full of guilt tripping. Olivia, you think you're punishing me, but really you're just hurting yourself. You'll never find someone who understands you like I did. I chose you when I could have had anyone. And now you're throwing that away over one mistake. That was the part that broke the last of my patience. One mistake? I had let her disrespect me for months, overlook me, compare me, criticize me for not being exciting enough. Then she left me for a man who made her cry during their last relationship. That wasn't one mistake. That was a pattern. Still, I said nothing. I was already moving on in ways she would never see. At work, I stopped working from home and started going into the office 2 days a week, just to get out, see people again. I hit the gym more. I cooked for myself. I cleaned for myself. And I started talking to someone, Mia, a friend of a friend, someone I'd met before but never really noticed. She was warm, funny, patient, and not once did she ever say I was too safe. She said I made her feel grounded, peaceful, like home. The irony didn't escape me. By the time Olivia sent her 6th message, a long, rambling one that ended with, "You're just scared of emotions, that's your problem," I'd already blocked her number. Not because I was afraid of what she'd say, but because I finally realized something. I didn't need chaos. I needed clarity. And she had done me the biggest favor of all. She gave it to me when she walked out that door. By the time a month had passed, the messages shifted tone completely. What started as smug and passive-aggressive had become erratic, desperate, borderline unhinged. I blocked her number by then, but she started using other ways, fake accounts, unknown numbers, even friends I barely knew reaching out just to talk. I ignored them all. The worst was when her best friend Lisa messaged me on Instagram. Lisa, hey, I don't want to get involved, but Olivia's not doing well. She said you just threw her out with no warning. That's not like you. I didn't reply to her either. Lisa had been one of the main voices hyping Olivia up for years, encouraging her to follow her heart, calling me controlling for not wanting her to stay in touch with Henry in the first place. So no, she didn't get a reply either. But I will admit, curiosity got the better of me once. I checked Olivia's Instagram. She deleted half her pictures, including almost everyone with Henry. The few remaining ones were old selfies with melodramatic captions like "some lessons hurt more than others," or "just because someone's stable doesn't mean they're right for you." Her likes were way down. So were her followers. The influencer dream was clearly dying. The curated chaos she'd chased so hard had become silent, and nobody was clapping. Then came the final blow. I was invited to a small engagement party, a mutual friend of ours from college. I almost didn't go, but Mia encouraged me. "I'd like to meet your old circle," she said, smiling. "Besides, I kind of want to see how the boring guy lives." So we went. She wore a green dress that made people stare, not for attention, but because of how effortlessly she carried herself. Confident, quiet, radiant. As soon as we walked in, I saw Olivia. She was alone, sitting with Lisa and one other girl, sipping something pink and bitter. When she saw me and saw Mia, her face froze. She didn't hide it. Didn't mask it. Her jaw literally clenched. I nodded politely as we passed her table. Mia whispered, "Is that her?" I nodded. She just smiled and said, "Yikes." It wasn't long before Olivia found a reason to come up to us. The music was low, people were mingling near the back patio, and I was refilling drinks for Mia and myself. Olivia stepped up next to me like we were old friends. "William," she said, with a faint smile. "Didn't expect to see you here." I looked at her calmly. "It's a public party, not your living room." She glanced behind me. "So that's her?" "Mia." "Yeah," I said, pouring club soda. "She's great." Olivia gave a dry chuckle. "You upgraded fast." I turned to her, my tone neutral. "I didn't upgrade. I healed. You just weren't part of that." She scoffed. "Do you really not miss us at all?" I didn't hesitate. "I miss who I thought you were. I miss the version of myself who believed you were capable of real love. But I don't miss us, because there was no us. There was me, and you trying to find excitement at my expense." Her mouth opened slightly, like she wanted to argue, but couldn't. She tried again. "I made a mistake, William. Everyone makes them. But you threw me away like I meant nothing." I tilted my head. "No," I said. "You threw me away. I just didn't chase after you." For a second, she looked like she might cry, but it wasn't sadness in her eyes. It was frustration, anger, the loss of control. "I hope she's everything you think she is," Olivia said bitterly, glancing toward Mia. I smiled. "She is. Peaceful, loyal, emotionally grown. Everything you mocked me for wanting." Then I walked away. That night, Mia and I danced. We laughed. We left early and stopped for food on the way home. I never once looked back. A week later, Olivia tried again, this time through email. Subject: "Can we talk? I'm sorry for everything. I've done a lot of thinking. I still love you, even if I didn't show it right. I didn't know what I had until I lost it. Please, William. I miss you." I archived it without replying. That version of me, the one who would have read that and held on to hope, no longer existed. I didn't need to block her anymore. She was already gone, and I was finally free. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.